Welcome to Our Morning Take, the podcast where our goal here is to describe for you the movie that is going on in our head when we read the Bible.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday. It's January the 9th. I've already been back in school for another whole day, man. We're pre-recording, and I'm already having a nightmare thinking about school already being in session.
Oh, you know you miss the kids.
I do, and I really miss Mr. Nick, and hopefully he'll make it there Monday, I hope. I know he probably wants to get back at it. He missed the whole last month, I think, of the first semester. So
hopefully he'll make it back to the podcast before 2025.
I'll be back on that bus.
He was actually thinking about he might make it this morning, but he didn't quite make it. So, but maybe by next week. I hope so.
Yes, we miss you, Nick.
Yes, we do. And but the stone is out. It was a 14 millimeter.
Woo! That's
What?
a big one.
14, baby.
Good
Yeah,
gravies.
no kidding. Yeah, mine was 10, and I thought that
That's
was huge.
He's setting records.
But yeah, that's a big bad boy
That's
right there.
massive.
He had to break that thing.
There
up
ain't
to
no
get it
way
out.
he's passing that. Not that big.
It's not even moving down the tube at that point. Yeah.
Oh, you missed it.
I totally forgot.
There we go.
We're in Exodus chapter 2. We're talking about Moses' life and his young life. He was born. He was raised by Pharaoh's daughter. And we were actually talking about a little bit about Moses' upbringing. And of course, he spent all this time in an Egyptian household and was trained by Egyptians. And he understood the Egyptian way and maybe even thought he was an Egyptian until something happened. And we're going to come across that sometime today. But today we're going to go back to Exodus chapter 2. We were in Acts, and we're going to go back to Acts too, because they both stories correlate with each other.
Yes, they do. But before we go into Exodus, I just want to just emphasize something that is going to be very important when God charges Moses to do what he does. In Acts, Stephen explains that Moses was taught in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was a very powerful man in words and in the things that he did.
Yeah, I don't think we've read that verse yet.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But
we're going to, though.
when we get there, and then when you read, when God speaks to Moses, Moses is trying to tell God the opposite.
What, on
That he
Mount
can't speak,
Sinai?
that he can't speak, and he can't do this. But Moses is very intelligent.
Yeah, right. I believe it's intelligence-wise. That's why most theologians believe that what Moses had was a speech impediment. He was a stutterer or something like that. He's a very, very intelligent
Yes.
person. And if you know a person that does stutter, has nothing to do with their intelligence level.
No.
It's just they have trouble speaking. And that's why they sing beautiful. Who's that, Mel Tillis?
Yes.
That was the famous stutterer, but he could sing a song just perfect because that's a different side of the brain, and the words and the music all just go together. But if he has to think of a sentence, it just all gets jumbled up.
I've seen a lot of people that can do that. There was a singer on American Idol, or not American Idol, but America's Got Talent. That they stutter real bad, but whenever they sing, it's like beautiful.
So most people think that's what Moses had. It wasn't that he was not intelligent, but and God does. We got to get to that story. We'll get there.
Yes. But
I love it when you bring up these points. It's
yeah,
like,
but
that's
it's
a whole
just,
podcast.
Oh,
right
I
there.
know. But the main thing is, like you said in the earlier podcast, whatever God has for you to do, you're going to do it.
He'll provide the tools.
Amen.
And he'll provide the protection.
Amen.
This is like a sermon. We're going to end up with a whole sermon by the time we get done.
Okay, here we go. We ready?
Yep.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
Yeah, so that's Moses' story that he writes in Exodus. But Stephen has a little bit more to say about what happened there. So if we go to Acts chapter 7, how long does that take you to get that? Are you ready? Acts chapter 7, and I believe we'll start reading in verse 22, which was a little of what Abraham was saying earlier that we're going to read. So as soon as he grabs that there, So
verse 22?
That's it. This is Stephen talking. Maybe.
Acts 7.
What?
Then said the high priest.
No, that was the very first verse.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happened like
I
that.
don't either, because it went right to 22. We are having a bit of technical difficulty.
That'll be all right.
Okay, so you're going to just read it?
No, you can't do it.
Hang on a second.
I thought
here.
in your phone, I know that you could go right to the verse. You just spoke to it. You told it Acts 7:22, and it went to it. You can't speak to your iPad that same way?
Okay, here we go.
I already don't like this thing.
Me neither. It's going back. It's acting wonky. I don't know why.
No.
It's not even Monday.
I know.
Right?
Acts 7:22 says, and after he had been, 22, I'm sorry, Moses was educated in all the learning of the Egyptians, and he was a man of power in words and deeds. But when he was approaching the age of 40, it entered his mind to visit his brethren, the sons of Israel. So Stephen gives us a little bit more to this story than just Moses went out and saw his brethren one day being mistreated by an Egyptian and slew him. Well, there's a couple of things that's going on here that Stephen comments on. One, Moses is 40 years old. So it's not like he's just a young man or he doesn't know what's going on or he's immature. He's a 40-year-old man.
Yes.
And by the way, he's lived through 3 pharaohs at this point, too. There was a guy named Thutmose the first. He was the pharaoh when Moses was born. And he's the guy that said, kill all them male babies. And then Moses started being raised in Pharaoh's house, and there was Thutmose the second. And then there was a woman. She started with an H, and I don't really care what her name is, but she was a queen of Egypt, and she ruled. And now we're to this Thutmose the third. So that's the guy right now that is the Pharaoh when Moses kills this Egyptian. So he's 40 years old. It enters his mind to visit his brethren, which that's an interesting expression.
Yes. And in the King James, it says it enters his heart. And my interpretation of that is Moses is feeling something that God has given him.
Yeah, God is already revealing himself to him.
Yeah, he's compelled that, you know what? I've heard all of these stories about the deliverer, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm the guy. Mm-hmm. So now it's time for me to do something.
Moses has heard the stories of the deliverer, and Stephen is going to help us out with that in just a minute. So it enters his mind to visit his brethren, the sons of Israel, and when he saw one of them being treated unjustly, he defended him and took vengeance for the oppressed by striking down the Egyptian. And he supposed that his brethren understood that God was granting them deliverance through him, but they did not understand. So you said a million times in the podcast room last year that Moses knew that he was the deliverer. And
I really believe he did know.
Well, this is where you found it. Not that you really believe, it's the honest truth. God has revealed himself to Moses. He has entered into his heart and his mind, but it's not the right time
Not
yet.
at all.
And Moses chooses this one incident where an Egyptian is treating a Hebrew unjustly to beat the heck out of this Egyptian till he dies. I don't think Moses was trying to kill him, although I don't really know. It doesn't really say one way or the other, but he did slay him. He did kill him, and then he hid him. And we know that Moses was thinking, the children of Israel will know now, I'm their deliverer. I just delivered this one man from this one Egyptian. I'm ready to deliver the 3 million
Bring them on.
from the millions of the Egyptians. I'm the man.
Yeah.
And then verse 26 says, on the following day, he appeared to them as they were fighting together, and he tried to reconcile them in peace, saying, men, you are brothers. Why do you injure one another? But the one who was injuring his neighbor pushed him away, saying, who made you a ruler and judge over us? You do not mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday, do you? How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And something happened in Moses' heart. It happens to a lot of us when we're confronted or when we think that we thought we were doing God's will, right?
Amen.
And someone goes, who made you pastor?
What a lesson to learn from Moses.
See you tomorrow.